What is going on, guys? This is Miasin. So today I will be making a combo video and deck profile, of course, on the new Yubel support, which is really interesting. We got a new Samsara Lotus-esque monster, but obviously way better. It's kind of like a Lone Fire Blossom and also has that neat graveyard effect. You can control any spells and traps and still use this effect, but it is once per turn, so it's kind of like a more balanced version of Samsara Lotus that can be abused, but that actually does something good, you know, unlike the old card that was only usable for FTKs. And we also got like a new Grinder Golem-esque monster that has nothing to do with the old Grinder Golem, outside of the fact that you're still summoning it to your opponent's field, and you can kill your opponent by crashing Yubel, and then your opponent takes the damage, etc. So that is the theme of the deck. It uses the battle phase a lot, which means that, again, it's better going second than first, but I'm still going to be showing combos when you are forced to go first, because otherwise, what are you going to do, right? You're going to look at your hand and you're going to panic a little bit, so you need to be prepared for everything. Anyways, before we go into any of these combos, make sure you smash the like and subscribe button. It really motivates me a lot to keep making videos like these, especially when I combine combos and deck profile in one video. And yeah, let's get right into combo number 1 out of 3. Alright, so the first combo is really simple. All you need is the Lotus as well as any discard, and you can set up a super poly play on your opponent's turn. It's really cool. So you're gonna be, again, it's a Lone Fire Blossom. You're gonna be tributing it on the field and summon this new card right here, Spirit of Yubel. This is not treated as Yubel on the field, but it is a Yubel monster, which is relevant, and when it is destroyed, even in your hand, you can special summon any the real Yubel from the hand, deck, banished, or graveyard. So pretty much from anywhere. Upon summon, you can search your deck, so either add or set any spell or trap card that mentions Yubel directly from your deck to your field or hand. So that's actually really neat, and you can play around Jewel and Logbird by setting the card instead of searching. So even if we get jeweled on, this card, which is again also a searcher, it's not gonna matter too much because all we really need is one search from deck to hand. And yeah, this card is kind of like similar to True Draco Diagram. So you're going to be destroying any dark monster in your hand or face of field, and then you're searching either Yubel or any card that mentions it from your deck to your hand. And when your Yubel monster battles, your opponent takes the battle damage instead. So that's really neat, and it actually stacks with the other damage that your opponent would be taking from the Yubel in the first place. So you can pretty much double the damage using this card. And there's really interesting OTKs that you can put up with the Yubel deck, going second against like pretty much any kind of board, and I will be showcasing this in this video. Anyway, so like I said, it's kind of like a True Draco Diagram, so you're going to be destroying the Spirit of Yubel and search your deck for this card right here, the trap card, Eternal Favorite. It has Favorite in the name, which means that it is searchable by, it's like Elemental Hero, Infernal something, I forgot the name, but you're not really going to be playing that card in your deck because you're not really going to be mixing Elemental Hero cards in Yubel, even though you could, but I mean, it's really gimmicky. But anyways, like I said, this card summons Yubel when it dies, and then you're going to be setting that trap card, Eternal Favorite, and then end phase revive back the Lotus. But Yubel does have an annoying maintenance cost of having to tribute any other monster on your field, of course, upon the end phase. If you have Lure of Darkness, you can use Yubel to tribute your opponent's monsters. And Lure of Darkness is also really nice inherently with Super Poly, which you're going to be playing in your deck, and you can also search it, technically. So you can definitely play Lure of Darkness with Yubel if you want to. It was my original idea, but anyways, again, like I said, on my opponent's turn, my Yubel is indestructible by battle, so it's not like my opponent can just, like, run over and then play in main phase 2. And then, whatever, my opponent can have all the monsters in the world, and I'm not going to be allowing him to do much, because now I can use the Eternal Favorite, which, by the way, if you want to use the Super Poly effect, one thing that I will have to say is that you can't use the effect on summon. You have to flip the card and then use its effect, so it does lose the Ghost Ogre, which is something that you have to take into consideration. Actually, I think you have to send it for as a cost. So yeah, it doesn't lose the Ghost Ogre. Never mind. I'm lying. But yeah, you have to discard a card and then send it to the graveyard, and then you can Super Poly everything away for this card right here, Yubel das ewig Liebe Wächter. I'm so sorry to all my German watchers right now. I butcher that completely. But yeah, it's like the love something whatever. A lot of people actually commented it on my last video, and I already forgot. My bad, but all you need for it is just any Yubel monster, not even the real Yubel, any of them, and then 1+ effect monsters on the field. 1+ effect monsters on the field. That's so ridiculous. I could be using like billions of monsters my opponent controls, and this card also has a bunch of other neat effects. So if it's fusion summon, you can burn your opponent for 500 for each of the fusion materials. It can be destroyed by battle or by card effects, and your opponent takes the battle damage you would have taken from battles involving it. And at the start of the damage step, you also Well, I mean, at the end of the damage step, I believe you're gonna be banishing that monster after, like, yeah, at the, after it battles. Whatever. Yeah, you get the point. Yeah, you just win from here because you super polyed everything and you have, like, a searcher, so you can keep playing, like, the game every single turn. It's, like, actually better than, like, a field spell that searches on activation because you always have a way to keep, you know, searching cards, you know, every single turn. So that's really nice. Anyways, that's it for combo number 1. Very simple. Obviously, it's a 1-card combo. Let's get right into some more complicated combos. Alrighty, so now I'm going second against Kashtira, which resolved a shifter on, you know, his own turn, which is kind of irrelevant because there's also a Rise Art, so it's redundant. But still, it means that even if I clear that a Rise Art, I'm still under shifter, and I have to worry about, you know, a Rise Art, Fenrir, Infinite Impermanence, and Ash, on top of, again, being under shifter, which is, you know, an inconvenience, but it's nothing compared to the power of Yubel, because we can still OTK through all of that, even though the Super Poly usually doesn't really do anything against the board of, you know, a fire, an earth, and a dark monster. But don't worry, because when there is a will, there is also a way. And yeah, my hand has Super Poly with the Geist Grinder Golem, the new Grinder Golem-esque monster, which cannot generically be abused, don't worry about it. Shuttle Beast, which is very good with the continuous spell card that I showcased on last combo, because you can discard destroy it from the hand and then draw 1 card and search your deck for a Yubel card. And then we got Yubel, the Ultimate Nightmare. I'm gonna cover that later on in the deck profile, with Spirit of Yubel and Dogmatica Fleur de Lis, because this, you know, the Dragma engine, the Dragma Balls, Dogmatica, the Dogmatica engine is pretty nice in this deck. So first things first, I'm gonna be going into my main phase, Geist Grinder Golem, reveal the Spirit of Yubel, and then use its effect, and even if I get hit by an Imperm, it doesn't matter because I already can break the board using Super Poly. Now I can fuse absolutely everything away, and I'm gonna be summoning this big boy, well, big girl, Yubel fusion monster, which is just honestly disgusting. Like, I can't believe it. And I want to keep the Grinder Golem on my opponent's field because it will allow me to OTK my opponent, actually. But yeah, since I used 4 monsters in total for the fusion summon, I can burn my opponent for 2k, and the Spirit Yubel still resolves because I dodged the Imperm with the Super Poly. So now I got myself a little Nightmare Pain. And again, my opponent is going to drop from 8k to 6k. I'm going to activate this Nightmare Pain, trying to destroy a dark monster in my hand or field. But it's going to be met by Ash, so I'm left with not much, actually. This Fleur de Lis is kind of irrelevant, actually. It could have been like anything else, doesn't matter. Shuttle Beast is of no relevance now. But none of that really matters because I'm going to kill my opponent right now. As I've said before, the continuous spell Nightmare Pain makes it so that your opponent takes the battle damage instead of you. And when you attack or when you battle with Das Ewig Liebe something, your opponent also takes damage equal to the attack of the monster's attack. So, wait, what was that? Yeah, whatever, you get the point. So my opponent takes, oh, and by the way, the Geist Grinder Golem gives us 3,000 as a small little added bonus, as if that even mattered. It doesn't. But yeah, so my opponent takes 31, and then an extra 3k, no, an extra 31, so 6,200 attack in total, 6,200 damage, just like that, because of the freaking field spell that actually increases the damage that my opponent takes. Obviously, that's not really what it does, but it increases the attack, which means more damage. So in other words, giving high attack monsters to your opponent means your opponent dies faster. Yeah, absolutely gorgeous OTK, but now let's get right into a board that you can put up on turn 1. Alrighty, so obviously this deck needs a lot of engines in order to function because the Yubel deck itself is not really cohesive, so you have to splash a bunch of things in order to, you know, have a little bit of sustenance, whatever, again. So yeah, my hand has a bunch of 1-card combos, so Imseti, Nadir Servant, Yubel, not the best card, but whatever, Squamata, and Small World. Small World can search like anything. It can search your Imseti or your Samsara Lotus. This card is a must in this deck, actually. First things first, you go Imseti to search the Pharaonic Sarcophagus and draw 1 card. I'm skillful at the game, so I draw the Lotus. Yeah, Tribute and then summon the Spirit of Yubel, which is going to be searching me for that continuous spell again. Set it instead of search it, even though it doesn't matter because I would have gotten drooled on the Imseti anyways. Activate Pharaonic's Sarcophagus, revive back the Imseti, and then discard, send the Happy, and then revive back. And then go for Nightmare Pain, get rid of my Spirit of Yubel to search for the trap card that is the Super Poly or a Monster Reborn, but you're usually going to be searching, using it for a Super Poly. And then overlay these 2 Horus monsters for a Hope Harbinger or any other rank 8 of your choosing. Then activate Nadir Servant, send the Al Capone. Then you're going to be searching the Ecclesia. And the Al Capone is going to trigger to search the Schism, get rid of the Squamata to send the Shuttle Beast. Draw 1 card, which is free real estate. and then special summon the Ecclesia, and then search your deck for the Maximus, which is another card that you can easily play in this deck. The extra deck, for the most part, doesn't really matter. It can be a bunch of super poly targets and good fusion monsters that get nice effects when they're sent to the graveyard. But anyways, Maximus is going to be sending 2 cards, and you're going to be searching, you're going to be sending the Garura and Titanic Lad. So Garura gets to a draw, and then Titanic Lad on the end phase gets 2 value. And now the Spirit of the regular Yubel is going to tribute the Ecclesia, and the Samsara Lotus is going to be reviving itself back. And end phase, you get to search your deck for Fleur de Lis. That is a ridiculous turn 1. Like, I have 4 cards in my spell and trap zone, 4 monsters, and 3 cards in my hand. And funny enough, I actually have a bunch of interruptions and a really good follow-up play, because again, Nightmare Pain makes it so that my opponent must attack Yubel, which is indestructible by battle, and my opponent takes a bunch of damage, like a lot. So your opponent can't just go like, okay, main phase 1, okay, straight to end phase. He has to go into battle phase, and he's gonna take a ridiculous amount of damage. And then I can use the effect of Samsara regenerating Lotus in order to tribute it to negate a monster effect and then transform it into destroy a Yubel monster on the field, so that my opponent will be forced to destroy Yubel. When this dies, I summon the Terror Incarnate, and then when Terror Incarnate leaves the field, I summon the Ultimate Nightmare, which is absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, this is so freaking sick. And I have Shuttle Schism, which summons Winda if I want to, and sends a dark monster my opponent controls to the grave. Or I can go for a Shuttle Construct, and then send like a Shuttle Dragon, and then send a Light and destroy a back row. And then Eternal Favorite either gives me continuous follow-up by always reviving back any of my Yubel monsters on the from the banished or graveyard, and my opponent can't respond upon the summon, or like I can use it as a super poly. So it's like I got so many interruptions. I got a Hope Harbinger, I got a Monster Negate, a Schism for Winda. This is a super poly, and then like this is irrelevant for now, but it's, I mean, actually it's just irrelevant on my own turn, but on my next turn it's going to, well, on my opponent's turn is irrelevant, but on my next turn I can revive back all of my Horus monsters that are underneath the Hope Harbinger, so I don't know why I checked the graveyard. And I have a bunch of cards in my hand, and I have Fleur de Lis, so that's like 7 interruptions, something ridiculous like that. It doesn't matter, the only thing that matters is that Yubel, best deck, vote Yubel for president. Alrighty, now for the deck profile, but before we proceed, friendly reminder to smash the like and subscribe button. I know we can do it, boys. And now let's get right into it. So I am playing one of each of the Yubel monsters that, well, I mean, the ones that existed before Spirit of Yubel, so the regular Yubel, which obviously is needed in the deck. It's the Heart and Soul in a way, but you're not really trying to draw it, because the Spirit of Yubel can summon it from the deck anyways. So this is redundant to draw. You can summon it from the hand, deck, graveyard, or banish. Like, bro, like, 1 is way more than enough. And then 1 Terror Incarnate, because otherwise Yubel doesn't float into anything, so you might as well play this card. And then this card always floats into the Ultimate Nightmare. Unfortunately, it's really funny how Yubel, the Ultimate Nightmare, is like one of the worst boss monsters that you will ever see in your life, because it's actually worse than the original Yubel in a way, because this card doesn't have any built-in protection from card effects, and it doesn't float. So if this card dies, you know, that's it. Like, you don't get anything in exchange. Whereas when this card dies by a card effect, or just leaves the field in general, like it can get, well, not Kaiju'd because it's an optional wet effect, but, you know, if it gets tributed for Yubel, then you get to summon Ultimate Nightmare, which is, you know, not too bad. You know, it's free money, so why not? And this card is the most proactive one, because it's when it battles, so when it attacks or when it gets attacked. Whereas these two, it's only when they get attacked. But again, you can force your opponent to attack your Yubels using the continuous spell card Nightmare Pain, which is one of the best cards actually in this deck. Really, really good. Like I said, it's kind of like a diagram, so destroy a dark monster, search a card, etc. Really, really nice. Nothing can go wrong with these support cards. But yeah, one Geist Grinder Golem. You don't really want to open this card because it's really clunky. It only does something when you draw it and like a monster that actually a Yubel monster very specifically. That's worse. Yeah, this card's not fantastic, but against like really slow decks, at least you can force your opponent to have a monster on the board, and then you just like crash, and then your opponent takes damage, and you win over time eventually. So it's a must to play, but it's not that great to play as multiple copies of. And then 3 Spirit of Yubel. Of course, this card is really, really good. I mean, it's a Stratos, so obviously you want to play multiple copies of, and it's probably the best card to destroy with Nightmare Pain. And then finally, for the Yubel monsters, 3 Lotus. I mean, this is the best card in the whole deck, because, I mean, it gets you everything going, right? This card summons the Spirit of Yubel, well, you know, because if you want to summon Spirit of Yubel from the hand, you have to wait until your opponent declares an attack, which is really slow. but this card does it like immediately off the bat, so it's a 1-card combo actually. So yeah, 10 Yubel-esque monsters, and then I'm playing a bunch of other engines because, you know, you're not gonna be making a full deck using only 10 Yubel monsters. It's not enough, and ironically, the old cards are not playable in this deck. Like, the old Samsara Lotus doesn't work because you're always gonna be controlling a continuous spell card and the trap card, so you can't use its end phase effect. So yeah, that's all you can really play. So I'm playing a bunch of nice engines that work. So yeah, 3 Imseti as well as 1 Happy, the Horus monsters, which also gives you access to rank 8s and, you know, Zeus access, etc. So that's really nice. And then the Nadir, well, Dragma package, 1 Fleur de Lis, 1 Maximus, 1 Ecclesia. And of course, the best cards to go alongside these monsters are the Shadow monsters, because Maximus can send the Al Capone from extra deck to graveyard. And the Shadow monsters are also really good in tandem with Nightmare Pain, because you get to destroy dark monsters in your hand or field. So you get to destroy like Squamata so that you can send the beast, draw 1 card, or send the dragon so that you can destroy spells and traps. So floodgates are never really an issue. And you can also have a lot of really nice bridge ability with Small World, which is also a 1-card combo if you play a bunch of different attributes and type monsters. So this is a Dark Spellcaster. Your Yubel monsters are all Dark Fairy, as Dark Fiend, sorry. Even though this looks like a dragon, I mean, these two, they really look like dragons, but they're still fiends. And then we've got a Light Fiend and a Fire Fiend. So Archfiend Eccentric, again, pretty much a searchable MST with Small World, and Lava Golem is like a double kaiju that takes up your normal summon, unfortunately, but it's really good, and it outs most boards, and it also gives a huge monster on your opponent's field so that you can OTK at the speed of light. So yeah, 22 monsters, as clean as it gets, and I want to say as competitive because at least I'm playing a lot of real cards in this deck. I'm not really trying to fill it up with a bunch of hand traps and then calling it a day. It will not work, but this is very consistent. You have a lot of 1-card starters. And again, you're always trying to go second with this deck, not first. If you go first, you're not going to be doing much. You can go first post game 1 when, you know, like, you don't want your opponent to set up too much, because you can at least go for Schism and then go into Winda and stuff like that. But usually you want to OTK your opponent's going second, because this is the best deck at utilizing Super Poly, because the Das Ewig Lib is something is a joke to summon. It's just a Yubel monster and any amount of effect monsters on the board. Ridiculous. But yeah, 3 Nightmare Pain, 3 Nadir Servant, 3 Shuttle Fusion. Again, this card only really does something going second. Otherwise, you're gonna have to like hard draw a Shuttle monster and like one of the Yubel monsters or something. Or Imseti, I guess, if you draw multiple copies of, but not really. And then 3 Small World, obviously, crazy good. 3 Super Volley, and 1 Pharaonic Sarcophagus with 1 Schism and 1 Eternal Favorite. So obviously the 1-ofs are cards that you're not really trying to draw. That's the theme usually with 1-ofs in this deck. And then 3-ofs are all really good cards that you're trying to draw more often than not. So Lotus is really good, Imseti is really good, Nightmare Pain is really good, Small World, Super Poly, etc. All those cards, they get your stuff going and they allow you to break boards. So yeah, very minimalistic 40-card deck list. And for the extra deck, a bunch of Super Poly targets. So yeah, again, Das Ewig with the Trifu Verdum, 3 Dark Monsters on the field. Again, Lair of Darkness is really good in this deck. Also very nice with the maintenance cost of Yubel. 1 Shuttle Construct because you do play the Dogmatica monsters as light attributes. So it could be good. Starving Venom, 2 Dark Monsters, very easy to make. Jago Stapelia, no shit. Titanic Lad that you can dump with the Maximus. And then Alkalone, Garura, Shuttle Winda, Elder Entity Entis with Nadir Servant or Maximus. And then Mudragon, which is again another Super Poly target. Zeus, okay, this is interesting. Gustav Max, so you need 2 level 10 monsters for this, but you can actually OTK your opponent. If you have like 2 Yubel monsters that crash when you have Nightmare Pain, your opponent takes 3k 3k if you're attacking over something like a Geist Grinder Golem. And then after that, you go for Gustav Max to burn for the remainder 2k. So it is relevant to play this card because you go 3k 3k 2k. That's exactly game if you have this card in your extra deck. And then for the rank 8 monsters for the Horus monsters, could be anything, but whatever. Infection Busking is good, and Hope Harbinger as well. So yeah, that's it for the extra deck. And now for the idea section, this is also very spicy. So Neo's Wiseman is garbage, but it's cute, so I don't really recommend playing it at all. It's just hilarious. Cosmo Dark Destroyer, so it's actually really funny how the very first idea that I had when I read Nightmare Pain was, okay, since you can destroy dark monsters in your hand, it might be good with Cosmo, but the issue is that the Cosmo monsters don't really do anything for you, and they're also not really good at breaking boards. So I couldn't really fit them in, even though it would be nice to destroy a Dark Destroyer directly from the hand, and then summon another ship that can be targeted or something, and, you know, try to break boards that way, or at least set up like a big, you know, monster on the board, but it's not really worth it. The Lair of Darkness engine, again, you could do that, so Lair and Arima, not the Lilith, because You would only be able to use this effect if you have 3 or more normal traps to set from your deck. It's not even worth the option. Baboon is another monster that you can run with Nightmare Pain, but it does take up your normal summon if you draw it, and you don't have Nightmare Pain, so it's not really good. Your normal summon is always on the Samsara Regenerating Lotus. Doomdog are Orthros with Tour Guide. It's a level 3 Fiend monster that you can summon, and when it's sent from the field to the grave, you can search a level 8 Fiend from your deck to your hand. So you can search the Guy's Grinder Golem, but it's not even that worth it. And then Shadow Hedgehog, more Shadow monsters in general, not worth it at all. Dragonite Draco Equist, another super poly target. If your opponent is playing Vanadium, you can fuse away Baron de Fleur and Crimson Dragon. And then this card right here, Infernal Rage, it does search your Eternal favorite, so any card with Eternal in its name. Sorry, favorite, I'm stupid. I don't know why another Abkalon is here. Juggernaut Liebe, another card with Liebe in its name, so another love card. It's cute. You can summon it on top of Gustav Max and kill your opponent even more, which is not needed because you're already OTKing your opponents with 2 level 10 monsters. Sometimes, again, you just need that extra 2000 damage that you can do on main phase 2 anyways. Extra Hero Infernal Devicer, so obviously this card sucks because you can't special summon monsters the turn you activate the effect to search 2 hero monsters, except hero monsters, so it's counterintuitive because the goal is obviously to summon your Yubel so that you can crash and then your opponent takes the damage, but this card does not allow you to do that. Even though it is a card that allows you to easily summon your Infernal Rage, it's still complete piss. And then one for one if you want to play 3 Lotus. You're already playing 3 Lotus, but if you want to have access to it more often, 1 for 1's not too bad. I think you can also play Piri Race Map. That's another decent card. Hold on a second. It's this card right here. So you can also consider it, but whatever, it's up to you. You're gonna have to pay 4,000 life points. I mean, half of your life points, and you can't use the effect until you normal summon it, which is irrelevant because you're always going to be normal summoning it. So it's definitely a nice card. I think DDD was playing it with the Savin Kepler, so it's always nice in decks with a level 1 monster with 0 attack. Pot of Prosperity doesn't work because you don't really want to have the damage, you want to kill your opponent. Mature Chronicle is garbage, don't play that shit. Lair of Darkness and Eternal Favorite, which I already explained. Anyways, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, let me know your thoughts, by the way, about this deck in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.